We have once again taken over this channel. As we continue to guide you through the lands of night, we shall show you that even the most precious of gifts may not be as they seem. Dolly, by StoryMan-Jack. Old Mrs. Stoltz was having a yard sale. Sandra spent many of the afternoon gossiping with the older woman and knew that she was about to move. "Mama's gone now," Sandy said, setting a strange box out and giving her grandson had taken out of the attic. "The boy there is going to put me up so I can rest my feet for a change." Mrs. Stoltz's mother had passed on at the age of 104, and she'd insisted that all her stuff remain with her daughter even after death, though by the looks of the many antiques in the sale, Mrs. Stoltz wasn't going to abide the wish. Sandra picked up the box and opened it, and inside was a small doll, the head of a porcelain attached to the body of cloth and stuffing. "Oh my," Sandra said, inspecting the little doll. It was beautiful. "It looks like it's almost brand new," she noted. And indeed, the little doll appeared to be fresh out of the store. "What, dear?" Mrs. Stoltz asked, coming over to see what her neighbor was inspecting. She put her glasses on and hobbled over, much more spry than her near 70 years would have suggested. "Oh, that," she said with almost disgust. "What is it?" Sandra asked, looking for some sort of mark or tag that told her who or what manufactured the doll. "Oh, it was my mother's. Her favorite thing in the whole world." The old lady shook her head. "She made that." She nodded at the doll. "Sewed the body and stuffed it. Got it out of one of those patterns the old ladies used to pass around each other when we were kids. But the face, it seems so creepy." The word would be creepy, Sandra told. Sandra, Mrs. Stoltz said, really serious. "Oh, not at all," she said, holding the little doll close to her chest. "Where'd the face and head come from?" The old lady scowled. "Never known that for sure. There were rumors that Mama got it from a young door-to-door salesman. He would go out to the rural communities and fill out orders for materials for sewing and quilting and such." "Oh," Sandra said, disappointed that it wasn't from some exotic or historic region. The old lady leaned close so her grandson wouldn't hear her. "One time the old bag was drunk and let slip she'd lost her virginity to that salesman. Could be why this doll's so important to her." Sandra just stood stunned. "It was a different time, I guess," she laughed nervously. "It could be German. I think someone said it was once, but I don't know," the lady continued. "Oh," she said, looking for something else that would have been on the doll that she had noticed. "I don't see a tag." She looked at, "How much do you want? I really think Laura Ann would love it." "That creepy old thing?" the old lady said. "Just take it." She waved her hand at Sandra. "Good riddance." Sandra stayed and gossiped a bit with the older lady before she headed back to her home across the street. She noticed the old woman's grandson smirking as he watched her carry the little doll home. The young mother took the doll and presented it to her little girl. Laura Ann was about 6 years old, and she took the little doll gravely. "Who is it?" she asked her mother. "Well, baby," Sandra told the girl, "that's up to you. I think she has a name anymore." "Oh." Anne screwed up her little face, thinking for a moment in exaggeration. "Well, I don't know." Sandra stood and looked around her messy kitchen. "Well, why don't you," she smiled, "and your new friend go into your room and figure it out while I clean the kitchen?" "That'll be fun," the little dark-haired girl said. "Won't it?" she said, She finished holding the little doll up to her face so she could see into its eyes. The little girl stood still for a long moment. Sandra almost thought time had stopped. And then her daughter, the one thing Sandra had left that made life worth struggling through, looked back up at her mother and laughed. "She thinks so too," she said finally. Sandra thought little of the doll over the next few days. She spent most of the time cleaning, cooking, or doing something for one of the many programs she volunteered for. She had come home to find her daughter standing stark naked in the center of the living room, holding the doll, and urinating all over the floor. Fortunately for little Laura Ann, her babysitter suffered much more from the trauma than did the little girl, since the teenager had been found asleep in Sandra's bed. "I'm calling your folks this evening," Sandra told Kate. The teenager most of the neighborhood relied on to pick up the slack for some of the parents. "I cannot believe you would deliberately crawl into bed knowing a child who depends on you for their life wanders about unsupervised." Kate nodded. "I know. It was stupid, but she seemed to be asleep, and semester finals were next week. I've been so tired studying. When I saw her asleep, I thought, why not?" "Well," Sandra said, having a hard time keeping from being sympathetic, "I understand that," she started, then let her voice turn hard. "But this is my only child, and you're looking after her. I will take no chances with her safety." Later, after bath time, and just before Sandra began tucking the little girl in, she did ask, "Baby, why would you take your clothes off and pee on the floor like that?" "Clara told me to," the little girl answered, puzzled. "Why? Who is Clara?" the mother asked. "You know, Mama. The doll, Clara." "Oh, is that the name you came up with?" Laura Ann looked confusingly up at Sandra. "No, Mama," she said. "Clara is said that's what her name is." Sandra just shook her head. "I don't care who or what told you to do it. You know better. I expect you to make good choices when I'm not around. Or when I'm at work." Her daughter seemed to blush a little. "Yes, Mommy." A few weeks later, they were watching some superhero thing on television when she heard a voice she'd never heard come from the living room. She'd been in the kitchen fixing her a snack.
"What a frackin' whore,"
the voice said in a voice that sounded as if it were from some 90-year-old 3-pack-a-day smoker.
I could use a cigarette."
Sandra rushed into the room to find her daughter, the little porcelain doll in her lap, sitting quietly and watching the movie. It was one about some blonde girl from outer space that shot fire and lasers or something out of her fists. It was a Disney thing. "Who's in here?" Sandra asked her daughter. Laura Ann, who had not looked away from the movie, suddenly did so with a slow, deliberate, unnatural movement.
"I am the only one here,"
the gravelly voice said from Sandra's child's lips. Her daughter smiled, her eyes appearing to be clouded over as if they were covered in cataracts. And she smiled.
"You got a smoke?"
it croaked. Sandra leapt to her daughter, knocking the little doll from her lap. Anger filled the little girl's face, and Laura turned her little body in her mother's arms.
"Let me down, you bitch,"
the little girl demanded gravely, otherworldly voice. "What the hell?" Sandra said, trying to restrain her daughter, and she'd never find out the answer to that question. For the little girl plunged an ice pick into her ear and down into her brain. The little girl picked up her doll and walked out the door and across the street where Mrs. Stoltz and her grandson were closing up the last of their worldly goods into the moving truck. Mrs. Stoltz smiled at the little girl walking across, Dolly held close to her bloody chest. "Took you long enough, Mom," the woman said.
Spells take as long as they take."
The voice was that of an old lady. "You'll have to do something about that voice and your eyes," Mrs. Stoltz's grandson said.
"Give it time,"
the girl growled, her voice already softening a bit.
"I have to excise the girl's soul before I can take everything over."
"We do need to go," Mrs. Stoltz said, and locked the back of the truck, pulling the girl up in the truck with her.
Yeah. The woman's dead. Cops won't show up for a day or two. Trust me, I've only done this 5 times.
The old lady handed the child a wooden box, upon which was carved the image of a goose, one painted black with a red stripe around its neck and blood-tipped wings. The child placed a reverent kiss upon the doll and put it away into the box, the lid clicking when it shut.
"Until next time,"
the gravelly voice said, and then she turned to her daughter. It'll be time soon. I just need to get some sleep. Her voice, now that of a child.
Sometimes the toys we give are more than we think they are in the darkness, in the night. We return you back this channel until night comes again. Nox Vini, fear the night.